In these 30 years of history, the franchise has presented us with many Power Rangers, but there are some that have stood out for some details, and because of this, they have managed to change history forever. These details are not only things that have been achieved in the history of the series, but also in the history of the franchise because they have achieved a change in the fans. I want to start with the best known of all, and obviously, Tommy Oliver, which remains the most famous Ranger in the history of Power Rangers. This character was the first evil Ranger, and so far, he is the longest continuously leading Ranger. His leadership began as the White Ranger in the second season of Mighty Morphin and ended in episode number 19 of the Turbo season, which gives us a total of 138 episodes. Obviously, this is not counting the 10 episodes of Alien Rangers, since that season is considered part of Season 3 and is named as a mini-series within the original series. Another record that this character has is that he has appeared in 8 different seasons and is the Ranger who has appeared in the most episodes, surpassing 235 episodes. Besides this, he is also the Ranger with more color changes, since he has used green, white, red twice, and black, which was his last color. He has been the first in several things, such as being the first Ranger to become a mentor, the first Green Ranger, the first White Ranger, the first Ranger to use red in 2 different teams, and the first leader of a team that was not red, although later he started to use it. All these records are incredible, but the best thing that Tommy Oliver has is the confidence that he provokes in people, since everyone wants to follow him, and because of this, he has become the legendary Ranger. The next Ranger in this list is Kendrix Morgan, the Pink Ranger from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, and the Ranger who gave her life to save everyone. All Rangers risk their lives constantly, but Kendrix decided to sacrifice herself in order to save everyone, and this is one of the most impressive things a Ranger has done in the entire history of the franchise. This character is so important that Hasbro recently released his new action figure, even though Lost Galaxy products are not the best sellers. Many mention Kendrix in their list as one of the favorite Rangers, and her personality won the hearts of fans. After the death of this Ranger, the story changed so much that the power was given to Coroni, who was a villain and is also Andra's sister. Speaking of Andras, this Ranger is next on the list and was the Red Ranger of the In Space season. This Ranger made history because of his bravery, his leadership, and all his Ranger skills. Obviously, what made this Ranger change history was the destruction of Zordon, because even though it seems like an easy thing to do, it really isn't, since Zordon has always been like a father to all the Rangers, and this was basically like having to destroy a beloved family member. All of us fans know about this event, and it has marked a before and after in the history of the franchise. Even in the last season they mentioned this event, since Zordon's shockwave has been something that marked the life of the whole universe, including the villains. Even though Zordon is the protagonist of this event, that would not have been achieved without Andras, since he was the one who had the courage to break the tube and save the universe. Andras' influence on Power Rangers fans is so great that we can say that he may be one of the most famous Red Rangers in history, and his weapon is one of the most loved by fans. The next Ranger is Amelia, the first Red Ranger to be for a full season, and we must emphasize this as many fans still do not understand this concept. There have been other leading female Rangers for a full season, but none are red. We have also had red female Rangers who have also been leaders, but not for a full season. So, Amelia has been the first female Ranger to be a leader for a full season using the color red. I hope you have understood this and are not writing the wrong things in the comments. We should give credit to this Ranger, as she started out as the first Pink Ranger we saw in her season and ended up being a Red Ranger leading her team. Opinions are divided, but I loved Amelia's participation as a Red Ranger, and I think she did an excellent job delivering blows with that hammer. The next Ranger belongs to that same Dino Fury team, and we can't leave out Zaido, the first Ranger with that color that no one can decide the name. This Ranger is possibly the first Ranger in the history of the Power Rangers universe, since for now, no one knows if the Rangers started before this event when the Morphin Masters gave the power to Zaido and his team. This also makes him the first Red Ranger and team leader in the entire history of the Power Rangers timeline. Let's remember that I'm not talking about our actual timeline, since obviously the first Ranger we saw in 1993 was Jason, but I'm talking about the Power Rangers universe timeline. Another impressive thing that Zaido did is that he is the only Ranger in history to become a Morphin Master, and so far, no one knows how it happened, but it is suspected that it was thanks to Zordon. Next on the list is Billy, the Blue Ranger from Mighty Morphin, who also appeared in Cosmic Fury as the mentor of that team. This Ranger is so well known that we don't have to dwell too much on his story, but we can say that he has achieved such a great impact that this power has reached outside the TV series. The actor who plays this character has been so important that he got them to create the special episode, and even though they did not want to use the script he had written, we all know that the whole episode was thanks to his idea. Billy is the second Ranger with more appearances in episodes, surpassing 200 episodes, and he was the only Ranger of the original team that was in the whole Mighty Morphin series. The last Ranger on this list is Justin, the Blue Ranger from Power Rangers Turbo, and I apologize for not showing his picture as a child, since YouTube changes all the video settings when children appear. The reality is that this Ranger started in the Turbo movie to replace Rocky, who had hurt his back and could no longer help his team. In the series, this event is not so important, even though it was rare, but outside of the series it was awesome for the fans. Some loved this decision to turn a kid into a Ranger, and others hated it as they say it is something absurd. The production said at the time that they wanted a child to become a Power Ranger so that the child audience would feel that they could be a Ranger and feel more connected to the series. Obviously, this didn't work out for them because Turbo has been one of the most hated series by many fans, but I don't think Justin's was the reason for this. In Power Rangers you cannot measure power, and this is why it is very difficult to know who are the most powerful Rangers. The best we can do is to look for the advantages that each team has to know which one can be more powerful, and this is something quite complex since all the Power Rangers are quite similar. All the teams have the same concept, although not all of them have the same theme, experience, weapons, and some other important details. This is why we are going to identify the most powerful teams by looking for some of these advantages that each team has. Remember that this is only my opinion, since there are no numbers here that can certify that a team is more powerful than another. It is only my perception, and each person may have a different opinion. That's why I ask you to write in the comments your 5 most powerful teams and mention some advantages. Number 5, Wild Force. This team is made up of 5 original Rangers and a 6th Ranger that could help them a lot, plus he is a very powerful Ranger. These Rangers have a great connection with nature and can summon the spirits of animals, which makes them very powerful. Each Ranger has a specific animal, and all these animals are very strong separately. Even though their leader, the Red Ranger, is a rather strange person due to his history, he still manages to turn the team into very powerful Rangers. We all know that animals are a powerful force of nature, and I think this is the biggest advantage this team has because of the great connection they have with the wild world. Number 4, Power Rangers SPD. This team has several members who have managed to change positions and colors, which makes them very versatile. You also must understand that these Rangers are from 2025, and in the timeline of the series this is a very advanced year, although in our reality there is not really that much technology yet. Each of these Rangers have different abilities which gives each member an advantage separately, and when they team up then they have an even greater advantage. In this era the Rangers have great technology and can use this to finish off many powerful enemies. Another thing I like about this team is that they have great police training, and this can be a big advantage over other Ranger teams, as almost always all Rangers start out without any serious training. The mentor of these Rangers is also a very powerful member of the team and is most powerful when he manages to transform into a Ranger. This team has faced incredible villains, and despite this they have managed to defeat them all. Something important that this team has is that one of its members comes from the future, the Omega Ranger, which has spectacular abilities and could be one of the greatest advantages for the SPD team. Number 3, Time Force. This team comes from the year 3000, which makes them the team with the best technology, and this is the biggest advantage they can have over any other team. They have managed to travel through different moments in time and have had to face very powerful enemies. It is even said that the main enemy of this season is the most powerful villain of all time, and regardless of the outcome of that battle, the Time Force Rangers deserve everyone's respect for having faced this villain. Each member of this team is very important, but we must highlight their leader, the Pink Ranger, and also the Red Ranger. These two Rangers prove that they are very powerful and could be among the most powerful Rangers in the history of Power Rangers. Even in the comics these Rangers have proven to be very important and also very powerful, as they have had to save other teams. Although in the TV series they didn't show it, we suppose that this team has had to travel in time on several occasions to save many teams from some danger that they don't even imagine that exists. The high technology of their time and time travel are the greatest advantage this team has. Number 2, Dino Fury. I know that many will be surprised that I have chosen this team, as it is the most recent team, and sometimes many think that only the older teams are very powerful. The reality is that this team has certain advantages that no other team has, and this makes them extremely dangerous for any enemy. The first thing is that within this team there are two very old Rangers, which could know the power from a long time ago and could defeat all the enemies of their time. The Red Ranger and the Gold Ranger were able to defeat all the monsters and managed to survive all the destruction at that time. In addition to this team managed to obtain two different powers, since in the first two seasons they had the power of the dinosaurs connected to the statues, and then they obtained the orbs that connected them in another way to the power. Along with the new power, they also managed to find other Zords, which are a legend due to their power and versatility. These Rangers have faced many powerful enemies and have something else that no team has ever had. They have managed to have the closest connection that no one has ever had with the Morphin Masters, and this has helped them in the most difficult moments, in addition to obtaining two very powerful weapons. Lastly, the leader of this team became a Morphin Master, and the new leader of the team was also amazing at all times. Number 1, Mighty Morphin. Even though it seems obvious to choose this team because of their fame, the reality is that I'm not putting them first because of that, and I'm going to mention all their advantages. Honestly, I had to think whether they were the second or the first team, since the Dino Fury have incredible advantages, but the Mighty Morphin has something more important. The best advantage this team has is experience, and this is something that no Morphin Master can give you, since you must live through a lot of things to get this. The Mighty Morphin fought many powerful monsters and villains. They even managed to defeat Lord Zed many times. Lord Zed has always been a very powerful villain who has destroyed Zords, and many villains are afraid of him. The mighty Morphins have had to face this villain and a villain like Rita Repulsa, who is also a very powerful sorceress. One great advantage this team has is that all its members have been leaders at some point, as Jason was the first leader, Tommy was the second, Zack and Billy were the leaders in the special episode, Trini is the current leader of the Omega Rangers, and Kimberly is a leader of another team when she became a Ranger Slayer. In addition to this, Tommy is known as the legendary Ranger and possibly the most powerful Ranger of all time, so this takes this team to another level. Another great advantage of this team is that their mentor Zordon is one of the wisest beings in the universe, besides being a warrior feared by all villains, and has been the one who has guided this team for many years. Power Rangers costumes are important, and this is a combination of the costume and the helmet, as both have different characteristics that make them unique. Even on this channel we had to make 2 separate videos in order to define the best helmets and the best costumes among all the teams. Today's top is a little different, as we are going to look for the Rangers separately that have the best suits, but this will also include their helmet, shield, and all the details that have their image in general. In the other videos we could not include many special Rangers because many of them do not have the same costume as the rest of the team, and that is why in this video, we will talk about the Rangers separately, although there are costumes that the whole team has. Number 10, Magna Defender. This special Ranger has the most different costume in the whole franchise, since it doesn't look like anything we've seen before, and all his clothes doesn't look like a Ranger's but like a medieval knight. This is one of the few costumes in which the helmet combines perfectly with the rest, and, if we put them separately, we could quickly identify that the helmet is from that particular costume. His horns give him a more aggressive and menacing style to let his enemies know to be afraid of him. Even when you look at this Ranger you might get confused and not know if he is a hero or a villain. On his chest he has that hexagon that makes him look like a mystical being, and because his costume looks medieval, then this combination between the past and the future makes him look magical. Number 9, Megaforce Team. As I said before, sometimes the entire team has the same costume, and the helmets are so similar that we can't choose a specific Ranger only. In the case of Megaforce, all the colors look great with this style of suit and helmet, so I decided to include the whole team in the list. The suit that I like is the Megaforce 1, the one with white pants, and because of this color combination the Rangers stand out a lot. In this combination we can see the white color, the black color in some areas, the gold color in almost all the details, and the specific color of each Ranger. The theme of this series is pirates, and I think they knew how to represent this very well in the costumes. The helmets are also spectacular and go very well with the costume. Number 8, Mighty Morphin Green and White Ranger. In this position I must do something a little special, since the same Ranger has had 3 of the best costumes in the entire history of the franchise, and in order not to repeat, then I decided to include all those costumes in this same position. Tommy Oliver started with the green suit, which was very special because of the shield and the shape of his helmet. Both of those things are iconic, especially the shield, which is the most famous shield in the whole franchise. Then, he started wearing the white suit, which has a helmet that represents his theme very well, and the shield has also become iconic among fans of the series. The best thing about this suit is the combination of colors, since the white color with all those details in gold color and some things in black color to complement are one of the best combinations that we can see. In the 3rd season he started to use the Ninjetti suit, which you already know is my favorite, and here we can include the whole team since only the color changes. This suit represents the theme perfectly and has a unique style that separates itself from the rest of the Rangers in the whole franchise. Number 7. SPD Shadow Ranger. This is one of the most impressive suits we have seen in the last 30 years, and the material looks different. It does not seem to be the typical spandex suit, and it has many details that are made of another material. I really like the color combination, and the black color with the red details are impressive, but that blue color gives it the superhero style. The helmet looks spectacular, and the entire design is worthy of a very powerful ranger. Number 6. Cat Ranger from SPD. In this same SPD team there is the Cat Ranger, which has a white and orange outfit with black accents. There is always a debate between the color designation of this ranger, since the video games place her as an orange ranger and the comics as a white ranger, but in the series, this was never specified. The important thing is that this costume is spectacular. The helmet has a great style that represents her feline theme very well, and the colors match very well. Number 5. Lunar Wolf Ranger from Wild Force. The best thing about this costume is the helmet, as we can say that it is one of the best designs we have been able to see in the entire franchise. The helmet perfectly represents the theme of the series and also its animal, which is obviously the wolf. That silver color represents the colors that wolves normally have, and the entire costume design is also spectacular. Number 4. White Ranger from Wild Force. This Ranger's helmet is also one of the best Power Rangers helmets out there, and I'm sure every fan has it on their list of best helmets. The color scheme is spectacular, as she is a white ranger but has pink accents that give that feminine style to the entire design. The helmet perfectly represents the theme of the series, and you can clearly see the design of her animal. The gold color has always combined perfectly with the white color, so this ranger has one of the best combinations and designs in the whole franchise. Number 3. White Ranger of Mystic Force. We know there are a lot of white rangers on this list, but the reality is that this ranger's costume couldn't be left out of this top. From the first moment you look at this ranger, you can tell that she represents a mystic being, and you can easily recognize that she must have a lot of power or a special power. The helmet of this ranger is full of mystery, but being a white-colored suit, it inspires you enough confidence to have peace. The shield of this costume is very original, and the snowflake symbol on the helmet gives us some detail of her powers. Number 2. Zeo's Gold Ranger. In this case, I don't care which ranger used this costume, the important thing is that the whole costume is spectacular, and we must accept that it must be among the best costumes in every fan's list. The color scheme is simple, black with gold details, and that gold color is quite shiny. The design of his shield is one of my favorites, as it perfectly represents the theme of this season, and the gold knee pads is something quite original. This ranger's helmet has also been very iconic in the franchise, and for all these reasons this costume is one of the best we've seen. Number 1. Dino Thunder's White Ranger. From the first time I saw this costume, I couldn't believe how awesome and stunning this costume is, and there's no way anyone can say that it's not one of the best costumes in the entire history of Power Rangers. The entire design makes him look like a super powerful and wild ranger, plus the color scheme is perfect. It may seem a bit simple since it only has white, black, gold, and red, but the impressive thing about the combinations is knowing how to put the colors in the right places. The red helmet visor makes him look very menacing, and obviously we must remember that this ranger started out as a villain, so the suit is perfect for being an evil ranger as well. The shield matches perfectly with the entire costume, and I like that the white color is from the helmet to his boots without interruption. The best thing about this costume is all those spikes that represent dinosaur teeth, and the most amazing thing is that they are all over the costume. There are so many options and so many spectacular costumes, that's why this list was so hard to make. Superhero weapons are one of the most important things, and in fantasy universes these weapons are not normal. They are exotic weapons that have a great visual impact, and their powers are spectacular. Previously, we had already made a list of the most powerful weapons, so this video is not about the most powerful weapons, but about the most spectacular weapons, judging it in another way. The weapons that I am going to include on this list are those that make me want to have them because of how spectacular they look and how powerful they can seem. In this list I'm not going to put them in order, so I'm just going to mention the 10 weapons I like the most from the entire history of Power Rangers. Number 10. Golden Power Staff from Zeo's Gold Ranger. This weapon, besides being very powerful, has a very original design that combines very well with the ranger who carries it. The gold color highlights the most important parts of the weapon, and the thing I like most is its size because it can be easy to carry. At the top it has that red sphere that makes us think that it is a magical object, and the symbol that has above gives the Egyptian style that the season has. The part where it is held also has the same style, and the most special thing about it is that the top part opens to be able to throw the power. Number 9. Hydro Bow of the Blue Ranger of Samurai. This bow is very different from any bow we have seen, and it does not have the normal parts that any other bow can have. For this bow, no arrows are needed, and it has something to hold it very firmly to be able to shoot the laser beams. The entire design is spectacular and creates a lot of intrigue when we look at it because it does not look like something normal. Another thing is that since it is blue in color, then this transforms it into a weapon full of fantasy, and this causes the whole design to be transformed into something mystical. Number 8. Jungle Blade of the White Ranger of Jungle Fury. Previously, we had already talked about this weapon, and it is one of the most powerful we have seen in the history of the franchise. Besides being very powerful, it also has a spectacular and very original design. This weapon has many functions, but the most impressive is that its design allows the ranger to use it more easily by being able to put his hand inside the weapon. This weapon comes from the Rhino Morpher, which transforms into the Jungle Blade and starts to look very threatening. This weapon looks very sharp, and its colors make it look very wild. Number 7. Snow Staff from the White Ranger of Mystic Force. This scepter has the style of a queen, but the power of a mystic being, and its design shows both. I really like that it matches very well with the ranger using this weapon, and the snowflake design looks spectacular. I also like the design of the top that has gold color, as it is what gives it that style of a European queen. The dial on the top also gives it the mystical style it needs to match the seasonal theme very well. Number 6. Stego Spike Axe from Cosmic Fury's Black Ranger. This axe has one of the most impressive styles I've ever seen on a weapon, and it has so many spectacular details. Let's start with the bottom part, where it has the head of a dinosaur with gold color and red eyes. The top design with all those sharp parts makes it look very striking and modern. I really like the color combination, which obviously matches perfectly with this Cosmic Ranger. A special part of this weapon is that it has the Power Rangers symbol on it, and this gives it a unique detail, although the other weapons of this season also have it. The whole design of the axe gives it a very futuristic style, and being such a slim weapon, it gives very good mobility to the Ranger. Number 5. Super Silver Spear of the Super Megaforce Silver Ranger. This weapon that looks like a trident reminds me a lot of the gods of Olympus, and it is that the theme of this season is pirates. This weapon combines perfectly with this theme, but I think its design is elevated to a higher level because instead of looking like a pirate weapon, it looks like the weapon of a god. Its colors match perfectly, and best of all, it can be transformed. The other transformation that I really like is the Super Gold Spear, and although it looks like a simple transformation, it changes the entire style. Now instead of looking like a trident, it looks like an anchor, and this makes us feel that it is a very strong weapon with which you can take down any powerful villain. Number 4. Lion Hammer of the Yellow Ranger of Ninja Storm. This hammer, which causes earthquakes, has a very powerful design as its colors make us feel that it is a very heavy real hammer. I think the metal-colored parts are the ones that make us feel that it is a very heavy weapon and can cause a lot of damage if you get hit. Despite this, the yellow color gives it that sense of fantasy in which we can recognize that it is a magical weapon and that it has another power besides just hitting. What I like the most about this weapon is that it is one of the weapons that would scare me the most if I saw an enemy trying to use it. Number 3. Shark Sword of the Red Ranger of Super Samurai. This shark-headed sword comes from the spin sword, and even though that weapon is pretty standard, transforming into the shark sword takes it to another level. From the first time I saw this weapon in action I was impressed, and its design is super wild. The shark head makes it look very menacing, and its colors help a lot in this. The shark teeth on this sword are something that makes a big impact, as it is something you don't want to encounter in a battle. This sword has such a spectacular design that it has become one of the most famous weapons in the entire history of the franchise. Number 2. Saban of the Mighty Morphin White Ranger. Saban is the sword that has the best design among all the Power Rangers swords, and the addition of the tiger's head was something very original. Obviously, this head has a purpose, and that is that this sword is a living being. If this sword had no life, even so, having that tiger head makes it look spectacular. In addition to this, this tiger head also has a protective helmet in gold color, and that is what gives it a unique style. I really like that the White Ranger symbol is part of this sword, and I also like that its blade is short, so it doesn't cover the entire sword. Saban is possibly the most famous weapon in the entire franchise, and this is for obvious reasons. Number 1. Ankilo Hammer from the Red Ranger of Cosmic Fury. From the first day I saw this hammer I wanted to have it, and this is what I look for every weapon on this list to provoke. When a weapon makes you want to own it, then its design is so inspiring that you feel the need for it to be part of your collection. This hammer is one of the best weapons ever built in the history of Power Rangers, and I'm so happy they did it this season because it proves that Power Rangers production can create excellent weapons. The entire design makes us feel all the power that this hammer has, and even before the series premiered, we could already know that this hammer was going to cause a lot of damage. The red color makes it look like an explosive weapon, and being a hammer, then this combination makes us understand that it has a lot of energy. What I like the most are all the little details it has and the way they managed to mix both colors. Write in the comments your list of the top 10 weapons, like this video and subscribe for more powerful Power Rangers weapons.